Everyone, Diabetes the Second here, and I have for you today a Week 1 Winter League 2024 Flags Practice Seed that I ran about a week ago. I'm going to provide some post-game commentary, give a little bit of insight as to the types of things I think about as I'm playing through a non-standard flag set like this. Won't be too overbearing, hopefully, just to give you some ideas of, again, what the types of things are that I'm thinking about, decisions that I'm making along the way, and things like that, just to give a little bit of perspective for some of the less experienced runners or those who aren't familiar as much with some of these non-standard flags. That said, just because I happen to be more experienced doesn't mean that the thought processes or decisions that I make are always good ones, so I'll try to point out things that I find out along the way that are good, bad, or indifferent. I do have the auto tracker running here in the bottom left corner, so you'll see that throughout the run. I did not have access to actually seeing this as I was playing, but I did want it up there just, for illustrative purposes. Appropriately named Welcome to the Winter League. Week 1 flag set does have a lot of interesting things for us. Nothing too tremendously difficult, but certainly some things that are going to make us think. Right off the bat that we noticed we didn't pick up a magic key in the throne room, so we can do our pirouette and check the treasury right away. We also have the expanded chest pool. So only one chest here in the Tantegel treasury, so no initial opening gold grind. I'll almost always do this in this flag set, or in any case where we don't have the need for keys, because the chances of initiating a chest glitch, whether that's for items such as fairy water torches, or that's for gold, it's a good thing to have yourself set up with right off the top. Also taking the opportunity to check the eastern half of the castle to look at the 2 additional treasure chest spots. Nothing in either of them. While we're here, take the opportunity to check the basement cave. We've got the grave. There's 6 total checks there in the grave on the top floor. Went for the highest density check, which would be the top right vanilla spot. Armored Knight said no, so let's head outside. Top priority in my head right now is probably to find a town. We've got a small map for this flag set, which doesn't mean it's small, it just means it's going to be smaller than normal. And since we started out with only 4 strength, we don't really have any, offensive capabilities. Except for critting a Drakey, apparently. We do have a chest's worth of gold, and it would be a nice idea if we could find a town, which there is one right there to the east if we can get across this river. See if we could pick up a weapon, see if we could perhaps pick up some defensive equipment. Even if we can't, things like torches, fairy waters, herbs, etc. will allow us a little bit of offensive and sustainability as we hit another crit against the Drakey. Another max roll, too, of 4. Finally, we see a way across the river here to the east. Trying to maintain that gold if I can. If I get into town and I see that there's really something great that I would have benefited from not taking that Armored Knight death, I could reset outright. Although, having killed 2 Drakeys, I probably don't necessarily want to, but if there's a good weapon pickup, it probably doesn't matter because I'll recover that very, very quickly. A cave as well that we didn't see at first, and it's Cantlin, so probably the best case scenario in terms of shopping. Got 3 weapon shops with opportunities to upgrade equipment. We've got the hand axe there, which is exactly what we can afford. The only other thing that I would be interested in picking up there at this early stage would be the chainmail. Because we did take that death earlier, we don't have the cash for it. Find that the magic armor is on sale in the center shop. Potentially we have the ability as well to fill up on herbs, torches, fairy waters, etc. So lots of options here in Cantlin, regardless of what's sold in the weapon shops. Oh, the broadsword would have been nice. 757. That said, I don't think it's worth resetting for just 5 extra attack power. We're up to 19 with that hand axe. So we should be able to comfortably fight everything in Zone 0. Go ahead and spend the rest of our gold. We've only got 2 HP, so chances are we're going to die here quite quickly. Buy a couple of herbs, looks like a dragon scale, good for 2 extra defense. Head back outside and then realize, oh yeah, expanded chest pool. I saw that there was no chest in the inn, but I never checked the bottom left corner. This is a bad habit that I have in some of these non-standard flags, is forgetting one or two things, and the non-standard expanded chest locations is definitely one of them. So if you see me re-enter locations, that's probably a reason why. There was a chest down here in the southwest corner, but it was just a curse spell, so no harm, no foul. Check the cave, it's the jerk. So no help there. Alright, we'll count that as a death refill. Strategic. A strategic death. Alright, noting that at 8 XP we're still at level 1. Random experience points per level included in this flag set as well. Another thing I'm very guilty of is not paying attention to what the king says. So it's something else that I also have to really focus and pay attention to. XP needed for the next level, because we don't know what it's going to be. But finally, the magician gives us level 2. We pick up hurt there, which makes the hand axe pick up a little bit less critical to have made, so we spent 5 minutes. Regardless, it was still something that we were going to want and need, and it will certainly be more efficient moving forward, but currently hurt is our best offensive option. More decent stat gains. My focus really in the early game, and honestly, if you've watched me play before and heard my stance on DWR in terms of strategy, I do a lot of early grinding. That's just generally how I play, and I think especially in a flag set like this where you have random XP per level, it can be a good idea. It might not always be a good idea, so it's really important every once in a while as we pick up a big 20 strength at level 4. Is if you've saved the princess to check that every once in a while, but if you haven't, especially here in the early game, is you don't always want to take deaths, but if you're not looking specifically to save your cash, you haven't traveled to a faraway area, it's not the worst thing to just take a death here and there to check with the king what you need for the next level. Chances are most of these early levels are fairly close, but certainly they can roll quite far away, and there's nothing worse than grinding on zone 0, 1, 2 enemies and needing to get like 800 experience points and picking them up in chunks of, 8 to 10 to 12. In situations like that, it may behoove you to try to explore and increase in another way. Maybe you find the Stones Cave and it has the sword, maybe you find, something else of importance elsewhere. Speaking of which, in this flag set, important to keep in mind where certain important items are going to be and whether the likelihood is that we're going to find them in various places. So we have the expanded chest pool as we've noted, but we also have vanilla, non-randomized treasures. How do those two interact? Turns out that the expanded chest pool is going to randomize everything regardless. So that's going to be like normal if you play a lot of standard flags. But the non-random treasures will mean that the search spots are still vanilla. So the token's going to be on the map via the coordinates from Cantlin. The armor is going to be in Hawksness. The flute's going to be in Cole. So we can make certain predictions about where those items are going to be, make some strategic decisions based on that as to what we might hope to find if we were to just go out searching elsewhere. And it really limits the number of things that we actually need to find as we explore. So really, the only things we actually need are the harp, the stones, and the sword. Everything else is going to be in a predictable location. Yes, the death necklace may be helpful in certain circumstances as well, that's another one, but that's not strictly required. We'll also know that we're not going to just stumble upon and find the armor, unfortunately. So we know that we're going to have to beat one of the strong enemies in Hawksness for that. But we may stumble upon the sword, but it is one less thing that can dramatically change a sea just by going out and exploring early. Something to factor in or keep in mind. Continuing the grind here in the early game up to level 6. Given the attack power boost that we've gotten, we have the hand axe. 60 attack power is pretty good. Probably could start to think about moving on to enemies that are a little bit higher tier on the offensive side. Unfortunately, on the defensive side, agility in the 30s at level 6 is fine, but it's not great for going out and exploring. And only 19 defense with no defensive equipment means we're going to be hit pretty hard. Even the wolves are a bit of a challenge here, although they are by far the best enemy that we could probably fight right now. But without a healing spell, we can buy herbs, but we're going to very quickly die if we try to expand our exploration too far too fast. So not unreasonable to continue the grind here. Perhaps we'll see exactly where we are or where we're hoping to be in terms of XP to the next level after a death refill. But something that is counter to that, we also have the alternate run algorithm active in this flag set as well. So the alternate run algorithm, if you're familiar with the code and the way Dragon Warrior is programmed and whatnot, certain enemies are easier or harder to run from based on their agility. So the higher agility, the harder they are to run from. But it's also a group factor. The earlier game enemies have not only lower agility, but a greater penalty to their agility when it comes to the run calculations. As enemies increase in difficulty, there's 4 groups of them, and most notably the last group of enemies, which is only the Stone Man, Armored Knight, and Red Dragon, plus the Dragon Lord in both of its parts, are the hardest to run from because they have the highest agility and they have no penalty, normally, to their agility. In the alternate run algorithm, we fudge that a little bit. The enemies will still have, their agility in play, but the penalty to agility is dependent not on which enemy you're looking at, but where that enemy is found. So if it's on the overworld, they'll have a greater penalty to their agility, so they'll be easier to run from. Even the same enemy, if found in a cave, will be a little harder to run from. And again, even the same enemy in Charlock will be even harder to run from. So a red dragon on the overworld is going to be easier to run from than a red dragon in a cave or a red dragon in Charlock. So, overworld exploration, on average, is a little bit more favorable in this flag set, or with that flag enabled. So keep that in mind here, that is certainly a more viable strategy than it might otherwise be. Doesn't mean it's the right call or the wrong call, it's just that the numbers are a little bit different. Alright, I was a little, not unhappy with how things were going in Zone 2 to the north of the castle, but the wolf being the only worthwhile enemy decided to try going over to the east into Zone 1, see what the enemy set was like there, and ended up, after filling up in herbs, on herbs in Cantlin, discovering this zone just to the east, apparently, of Zone 1, which has a couple of fantastic enemies, including the Drill Magi and Wyvern. We say that the survivability aspect is a little rough, to be sure. But we did pick up some defensive equipment, so that's going to help out a little bit. And we've got the town right here, so hopping in and out in order to get a refill on herbs or stay at the inn, quite easy. Take the opportunity now as well that I have over 30 HP to check those coordinates in Cantlin. It's only going to be for the token, but it's good to have those coordinates early That way, whenever we go exploring, if we know that they're relatively close by, we can just count them outright. Or if they're far away, we may consider keeping track of our count as we go, or just saving the princess when we find the swamp cave. Alright, having done some upgrades as well, it seems like it's time to go check the basement. You know that we have the grave down here, there's 6 treasure chest possibilities right here on the top floor. The Armored Knight is definitely a disincentive to doing so, but we have Radiant, so we can see a couple of these locations across the walls, which is nice. We saw the one early, to the top. Nothing in the bottom 2 locations, so we'll see what other enemies are along the way in here. Although I really do like that grind zone to the east, I think it would not to be a mistake to continue grinding over there. There's a possible treasure guard. Treasure guards are tri-stated in this flag set. And Wraith Knights have Dragonlord Breath, so that's a downer. Treasure guards are going to be some mid-tier enemies. I'm not sure of the exact spread, but think things like Goldmen and Rogue Scorpions and Wraith Knights and such. That will be found only on required quest items and Erdrick's gear. And because they're tri-stated, whereas other tri-state flags roll on or off per seed, those run on or off per instance. So for example, the token on the map may have a treasure guard, whereas the sword may not have a treasure guard, whereas the stones may have a treasure guard. Since we encountered another Wraith Knight here, I'm pretty sure now this is a treasure guard. It's a little unfortunate that it's got DL2 breath, because I'm quite certain, even with only 40 HP, I've got enough defense to survive a swing or two here, and I've got the attack power to take it out, but it's just saying no, and apparently, since I never went west into the swamp, there was a town here all along. So what did we miss out on? It was Garenham. So again, a couple more chest spots here. We've got some shopping that we could do. Half plate was there. That would have been a nice pickup at level 1. No chest in the inn, only one chest in the back, and it is gold. So I could farm that gold chest a little bit, look to make some upgrades, but generally speaking, not the best. We have the swamp cave down here. No chest in the top right. Fortunately, you cannot see the chest location outside or inside of Gwaelin's cell unless you actually defeat the spike tile enemy. Nothing in the bottom right, but we do have on the other side a cave, one step out, and it is the mountain cave. Again, expanded chest pool here, so we've got one chest possibility down here to the southeast. Across the wall we can see if the vanilla chest is in play as well. Vanilla chest is there, secondary chest is not. And forgetting for a moment, but quickly backtracking to realize, yes, there's a chest location inside of that little dead-end room. There wasn't one there, but we could see across the wall that there are 2 chests up there, so we know to make the trip to the northwest corner right away on the 2nd floor. Right, I caught sight just before Radiant backed down that there is no chest to the eastern side. Up here to the northwest, we've got a gold chest there. The other chest that we saw is the stone, so no treasure guard there. We can see that the 5th chest of vanilla is not there across the wall, so Radiant really comes in handy. I try not to do too much cave diving without Radiant unless I really am confident with my survivability. Didn't mean to cast Return there. But Radiant does let me see that there is one more chest to check. and its wings, so no help there. So the stones are really the big prize. A couple of gold chests certainly can help us get some extra equipment if I choose. But no outside means I have to backtrack out, and that's something else to factor in as well, particularly in places like the Grave, where it's a much longer, deeper dive if you go for the additional treasure chest locations. That backtracking out can be kind of annoying. Alright, I return, realizing, oh yeah, I don't have healing. Can't walk across the swamp to the west to Garenham. I don't have a healing spell, so I can't walk into Tanthagil and do that. So we're gonna have to go over to Cantlin. We have that cache that we just picked up, so we could utilize that for some purpose. The alternative would bench just take a death warp if I didn't care. Oh. Well, that's a friendly surprise. And here I thought wyverns were good to fight. 226 for the next level, not a huge spread, so probably worth considering just sitting and grinding for a little bit. Not sure if the wyvern and that zone to the east is going to be the place to go. That really was unfortunate. That said, I've already fought a couple of them and didn't encounter that before, so perhaps it's a low percentage GL2 breath, 25%, and we could still get away with it. Or we go explore and look for another area. Well, of all the things that I thought would kill me, the Drakima would not have been high on the list. But sleep is powerful. Just like in Gen 1 Pokemon, in Gen 1 Dragon Warrior, sleep can be pretty nasty. I do think that grinding before exploring further is the right way to go, in particular because the next level is not that far off. I certainly have some barriers in the lack of healing spell to consistent healing and survivability. The HP's not all that great. But it appears I am invested in exploration. Again, with the easier overworld, it's not unreasonable. But it's one of those, what am I really hoping to find moments. I have a treasure guard in the basement, in the grave. I already have the harp and the stones. I think you should be putting together the pieces right now as to what the identity of that chest is. So really, what is exploration getting me? I mean, I'm mapping things out, hopefully finding things along the way, but unless I'm gaining levels, it's not really doing a ton. So sitting at a grind, or potentially repeatedly throwing myself at the Wraith Knight, probably the ways to go right now. And it appears I am even comfortable with sitting in, apparently, Zone 2, pick off a couple of wolves, Dracula, and get level 8. Go from there. Ideally, I'll be over 72 HP before I tackle the Wraith Knight. Doesn't mean I have to wait, though. We certainly could justify going ahead and throwing myself, at it repeatedly to figure, it can't have more than 50% Dragon Lord breath. Eventually it's gonna not breathe, right? Maybe we can two-shot it if we get lucky. Otherwise, we just need to get 2 non-DL2 breath rolls in a row to fight and win. And certainly an extra 25 attack power is going to go a long way. Decent enough stat gains. Nothing too crazy, though. Certainly not the HP boost that I may be hoping for to take on that Wraith Knight. Oh, a nice close level 9. Got a little bit lucky there. It appears that this is a zone boundary as well. This line of tiles has what appears to be Zone 1 enemies, whereas one tile to the south in line with Cantlin is where I was encountering the Droll Magi and Wyverns, so that would be a diagonal from home. It's nice that wolves are also in this horizontal zone, so both zones 1 and 2 have them. Perhaps this zone is a little bit better than zone 2. Although, it seems probably about the same. Not much to really add as I look to just continue the grind here for the moment. Again, some decision to be made about whether or not this is the most efficient thing I could do, if I should move into an adjacent zone that I know has decent enemies, but perhaps slightly deadly, or to try to find a new zone entirely. I think we've covered most of the flags that have come into play so far, so again, recapping those, the random XP requirements per level, which certainly plays into the grind that I'm choosing to do right now. I haven't checked with the king since I leveled up to see how long it may take. It may be 3,000 to the next level. It may be 3 to the next level. The expanded chest pool with the vanilla searches. So that is certainly playing into the fact that exploration, I know, outside of finding a Hawksness and being able to defeat whatever is on a spike tile, which with 50 HP and no healing spells and no hurt more and no sleep, I think my odds are quite low. a hurt stop spell spamming enemy is probably my only chance, so that's not going to happen. I know where everything else is going to be. So the expanded chest pool does come into play in that towns are more important to find, perhaps relative to the caves as they normally are, but still, we know that there's not going to be anything critical there. You don't need to desperately look for Rim to get keys, because keys aren't in play. The small map means things are going to be slightly tighter in than they would be normally, so there's not that much to explore, and if we choose to explore, the alternate run algorithm will make it easier, should that be the right play to make. Alright, taking the opportunity for the odd fill up. Wasn't out of resources or anything. Probably a little bit frustrated with how long I've been sitting here and not really gaining any additional levels, so do we move to a higher tier zone, which appears to be what I do, or do I go looking for another zone? Based on the fact that I've now fought a decent number of wyverns and only gotten breathed once, seems pretty reasonable to try to fight them when they come. At this attack power, we probably have pretty good odds to two-shot, so... a decent way to go. Star Wyvern, of course, is a little bit too difficult, but the Death Warp gives me an opportunity to throw my body back at the Wraith Knight again. Still just 51 HP, so any Dragonlord Breath takes this out. But with the extra attack power, we probably only need one non-Dragonlord Breath in order to two-shot, survive, and kill. Of course, an ambush Dragonlord Breath does none of those things. Womp womp. 905 for the level, which I think also reinforces the grind is going to be long and painful. Doing so against enemies that are giving me 8 to 20 to 40 in the zone I was just grinding is going to take a while. If I go to the next zone up, if I can get 25 extra attack power, that's certainly going to help immensely with the wyverns. It really necessitates picking up this sword now if we can. And that's the opening we needed. Thank you, Mr. Wraith Knight, for going for Stop Spell. It's like Giovanni throwing up a guard spec when he's got one-shot range. And we get Erdrick's Sword. 25 extra attack power. Hasn't reflected in the stats yet. Won't until we encounter a battle or hit the status screen. There's our 25. Up to 99. And then hilariously, still don't two-shot the Drill Magi with 2 low rolls. But now instead of getting, what, 20, 25 XP on average from encounters, we're now averaging closer to 60. So huge increase in efficiency with that huge increase in attack power. 900 XP is going to come just like that. Getting a little frustrated with the red slimes there. Nearly taken out by the wyvern. Casual 1 HP, no big deal. I think definitely the right call heading back into this zone. I've not seen that Dragon Lord breath since the one that we encountered earlier. Possible idea here would be to hop into Cantlin real quick, pick up some fairy water, get rid of those magicians and red slimes. Focus in only on the Drill Magi and Wyverns. Certainly don't have a lot of defense power. Only rocking the chainmail right now. Well, that certainly was a level. Big HP and MP boosts. There's the repel spell. There's the heal spell. The question now is this zone still appropriate? Or can I move up? Star Wyvern is going to be tough. We need to roll well on a 3-shot or just crit. TM. And apparently get ourselves another level right away. More agility, HP, MP. And I think that's going to be my cue to go explore and look for something else. Most notably, probably looking for a spike tile that I can consistently grind. It's going to be a little bit difficult without the Heal More spell. Potentially, depending on what the enemy is, a little bit less efficient without the Hurt More spell. But we can find Hawksness and get the armor as well. That's only going to help things out. Greater defensive capability, gives us walking regen, etc. That's unfortunate. Thought about it for a second. It's like, wizards can still do quite a bit of damage. Especially if they have sleep. Cave down here to the south is the Staff Cave, so easy turn in. Take that harp that we've had since the beginning of the game at the 40-minute mark. Know where the Rainbow Drop Cave is, that's close to home, so as soon as we have the token, for which we already have the coordinates, we can count that out at any time. Really, we need to locate Hawksness. And there's Hawksness, down to the south and to the west. We went south and sort of east, but we didn't make it through the swamp there. Looks like we would have been able to do anything early here anyway. Discretion is the better part of Valor against the Knight. Heal more, hurt more combo, not the best. Really want to get to the spike tile. If nothing else, we can see what it is. Handful of things I could probably take out. Red Dragon's not on that list. Alright, back into the Swamp Cave. I think this is the right call here for sure. Get to check another spike tile. Unfortunately, the Stone Man. I'm going to take the opportunity to count coordinates out again, knowing that I'm basically ready for Sharlock. The only thing I need to do is grind up enough to pick up our armor beyond the Red Dragon. And then enough levels to defeat the Dragon Lord. Worth keeping this zone in mind. There's certainly some enemies here that could be worthwhile, especially once I learn Hurt more. Knights and werewolves and whatnot. Neither of the spike tile enemies are Hurt more friendly. And I head right back into that zone. Over 100 attack power, it's not super great with our low defense. Crits always help. Wyvern dodges don't help. Fortunately, smart enough to stay over 72 HP. That's something else I'm guilty of at times, not doing. Staying safe when it comes to HP values. Like, oh, well, you know, I've still got 55 HP, I'm only gonna go up to 75, what's the difference? Well, that ambush Dragonlord breath that takes you halfway back across the map, that will hurt. So pay attention to your breakpoints. 72 if you're looking to avoid death by Dragonlord breath. 45 if you're looking to avoid death by Hurtmore. And then just general numbers for everything else. Our palette wear off, see what else is here. Unfortunately, dodges or ambushes are going to put us in a range where we're not going to be able to get those kills. One thing I have not seen at any point is a large shield. A shield of any kind would be kinda nice. Didn't dig deep enough into the grave to see if there was a gold chest or anything down in the basement. We also don't even know that we would have enough chests to do so, although I don't remember exactly how many I counted in the mountain cave. Remember, we typically think about, oh, I need to pick up 2 caves somewhere else, and then I head into Tanthagil, and there's 4 there, plus the 3 in the throne room. That gets me to 9. The 9th chest will be grindable. That only applies if there's that many chests in Tanthagil, or, by consequence, you know, do you even need 2 if there's, say, 5 or 6 in Tanthagil? You don't. But in this case, we only saw the 1 upstairs. And then we only saw the... Yeah, we only saw the sword chest on the left side of Grave 1. So with the throne room, that's only 3 plus 2, 5 chests. We would need to pick up 3 additional chests elsewhere, plus find a gold chest in the grave. Okay, opting for the big defensive upgrade, going to the full plate from the chainmail, extra 14 defense, certainly going to make things quite a bit easier here. We're still taking a lot of damage from these Sharlock tier enemies, but we're going to be defense breaking a lot more. And taking probably at least, what, 3 damage less per swing against most enemies, which with 81, them doing 25 or so, if they high roll 3 times and we don't get a 3-shot, decent chance to die, so certainly helps out. And while I like the Star Wyvern in that zone, it appears we are going to head back to where we were a few minutes ago. Where we saw our werewolves, our axe knights, our wyverns. I think we saw regular knights here as well. Ambush is still a problem. Oh, even more MP. If only I had heal more or hurt more. Alright, definite downside to this zone and not having Repel active, Magidrake and Scorpion, so while I would love to keep the Wyvern, those two gotta go. Either that, or I gotta go somewhere else. $17 HP, super helpful. Unfortunately, the new spell we learned was outside. Not really going to be doing any additional cave diving. Nothing going to be of importance in Charlock with the exception of perhaps the Death Necklace. Chances are we're not going to go looking for that because it could be in several other possible locations as well. And outside the bottom floor, there's just too much space and too many long walks to get to the additional checks in Charlock for things, so unless we're going for, like, the sword, which is something to factor in as we get exactly filled for 26. Hilarious. If the sword is in Charlock, personally, I'm a big fan of single dive Charlock, even for the armor when possible. But for the sword in this flag set, it's a much different animal. Whereas I think in most cases, unless your optimal grind is against something that you can't hurt more, or your attack power is so bad, or the available weapons that you have are so bad that it's such a huge upgrade that it's going to increase your efficiency of grind that much, because a double dive of Charlock to the basement is a long time investment. In this flag set, with as many different checks as you have, it really may behoove you to check early for the sword. When you factor in that there's, what, 3 chest locations if you go to the right stairs, there's 2 more chest locations if you go to the left stairs, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more chests along the middle floors of Charlock before you even get to the basement and its many chest locations. There's just a lot of different places that the sword could be, and doing all of that in a single shot is, one, not super time efficient from the perspective of if you do the right and left stairs, it's faster to outside out, so you're wasting MP. But that's just a lot of getting through Charlock. And combined in this flag set with the alternate run algorithm, we also have quote-unquote easy Charlock on, which is really just a modifier for the group 4 enemies. Or in this case, for the group 4 agility penalty, because we have it combined with the alternate run algorithm. On average, yes, Red Dragon, Armored Knight, Stone Man will be easier to run from, but everything else will be harder than average to run from, so we're going to have a lot of damage done to us. Or at least, we're going to get run blocked more often, which has the potential for us taking more damage. Something to keep in mind. Of course, we don't even have the armor at this stage, so we're not really thinking that. I'm just thinking, get me heal more so I can go take out the Red Dragon. If I take out the Red Dragon, I can get my armor. If I get my armor, I can probably just keep killing Red Dragons. Hey, level up. Nice. Hey, heal more. Nice. Time to go to Hawksness. Not even a hesitation. And also coal, apparently, that I didn't know was here. Hawksness is actually going to be a little bit down on the other side of that river to the east. Critical dodge from the wizard. Game's got jokes. Double dodge from the wizard. Game is absolutely hilarious. Rethinking my earlier, wait a minute. Where's Hawksness? Isn't this Hawksness? It's not. And then saying, oh, you know what, actually, there's two things I should do in here. One, the fairy flute for a possible golem in Charlock is worthwhile. Number two would be to go in and look for a large shield, for which we do not find one, only silver. And guess what? We've got 1600 cash, not 15k. Brief thought there to looking for the death necklace, which I probably should. It's gold. We could do a very slow gold grind over many instances of walking in and out of coal. I don't think that's the right call, and that's not what I choose to do here. Couldn't save that grit for the red dragon, had to waste it on the knight. Okay. It was a bad crit anyway. 60 on a range of 57 to 114. Alrighty, armor acquired. Rainbow drop, grind and go. Probably in the reverse order. Grind, then drop, then go. No shield, again, a little bit scary. Defense only 66. In the greater part of things, I'm not super concerned about it, but it is something to keep in mind if my HP were borderline going into a Dragonlord fight. Or, again, knowing that the dive through Charlock may be slightly trickier than normal, even though the easier enemies, or sorry, the harder enemies will be easier to run from, the easier enemies will be more difficult, so I won't be repelling them for one, more encounters. I won't be able to run from them as easily, so more run fails, which means sucker punches. So more damage taken, just something to keep in mind. No strength at level 16, so the grind shall continue. The level up trill there brings up another interesting point. Didn't come into play here in this seed, but with speed hacks enabled, your fairy flute becomes a little bit more enticing to use against golems. Doesn't take that 7-8 seconds to play the ditty and menu. So keep that in mind in making grinding decisions as well, as we hit a very quick level 17. Mostly MP. Without the Death Necklace, things are still looking a little bit on the downside. If we did have the Death Necklace, it certainly would have greater odds, I think, at this point, and may consider that it's time to go, but that combined with the low defense, the grind shall continue. Another thing that comes into play here, I did not rescue the princess, so I have no idea how long it's going to take for me to get to level 18, 19, 20, whatever it's going to be moving forward. So outside of a death refill, which I'm getting fairly low on resources, so it's not going to take too long to get to that point. But XP needed for level as we cross the 1 hour barrier is going to play a large role in deciding go level at some point, so having the princess, while it is a time investment, sometimes it just makes sense to do. And in this case, I certainly think it would help the decision making a little bit, although we just picked up another quick level 18. Still not much in the strength realm. Extra HP makes doubles more likely, but calculating and assuming doubles when doing Dragonlord calculations is always a little risky. Another terrible crit, 64 on a range of 60 to 121. And 10101. Red Dragon sends us to the king to find that we need only 677 for the level. 2 more red dragons, not a big deal. I think right back to the grind we go. A little unfortunate we couldn't pick it up before dying, but that's okay. If, for example, we had not 677, but 6777, like 10 times more needed for the level, like thinking 20 red dragons, not 2, at what point do you consider, well, I could hop around to a couple towns real quick, or other locations I could hop into the grave and check to see if the Death Necklace is there, or do I just dive Sharlock hoping it's there? And doing the math that way, maybe I'll pick up some Fairy Waters and Cantlin or Breckenary along the way to Sharlock, and hope that I can win at the current level, because it's going to be faster to try, even if I fail once, than it would be to grind another level out, knowing that I may gain nothing that I need. So again, making those decisions in the moment. Things to consider. Four strength, but 14 MP. Now up over 15 heal mores. A lot of HP for doubles. Now 6 to 12 damage, 9 on average, so we're looking at like 16, 17 attacks with 15 heal more, or like 17, 18 attacks with 15 heal mores and plenty of room for doubles. I think we gotta go. And we gotta go now. Especially without the information of knowing when the next level is. If we check the princess and the next level's 2 red dragons away, it's kind of like a, well, I'm here. I might as well just pick it up real fast. And maybe it'll make it free, so I don't need to think anymore. Force of Habit to always menu down 2. Herbs, then keys, then drop. But no keys in this flag set, so don't miss menu the Cursed Belt. Axe Knight's showing off a little bit of the difficulty that we will face with the non-Group 4 enemies. Still with a high HP, the walking regen, I'm not expecting this to be too difficult, but 72 defense. Not great. Puts what, 52 on the table for DL2? I just gotta keep it in mind again during the Dragon Lord fight that those are risky doubles in that range. Not very, but certainly riskier than they would be otherwise. Axe Knight apparently is the real final boss. Goodness. Fortunately, full herbs. And try to walk off some of the additional damage. And not a free fight by any means, but I think with the number of swings that we're going to get, the odds are more in our favor than not. But if we can save an herb or two for the Dragon Lord, make sure we get in and get an opening double, if not triple, is only going to increase those odds that much more. That said, that is a counterbalance with not using enough herbs, getting ambushed, and run failed a couple of times, and then having to burn a heal more, which certainly would drop our odds further than just not having an herb or two. Alright, bottom floor reached. Bottom zone includes the red dragon, which is not great, but again, they are slightly easier to run from than we're used to. A trio of chests. Going to be left behind in the Sharlock Treasury. Maybe the Death Necklace is among them, not sure. We didn't find the Fighter's Ring either. Of course, red dragons have Hurtborn, max roll of 30. Fun. We didn't roll particularly well and ended up with the 4-shot. Opting to go with the heal more here, I think that's the right strategy. The other thing, because of our now lack of extra MP and lack of herbs, is that we were going to have to do a potential long heal walk, which is... If you've watched me race, it's never the right decision. It always curses you in the long run. Alright, Dragon Lord Part 1, relatively friendly, on to DL2. Well, we got ambushed, and we're gonna swing at 50. But we get away with it, so we do get the opening double. Bad heal more. Gonna have to swing at 52 again. Now the breath attack is fine. And we move forward. I think we got the swings in that we need. I don't think we need to play risky the rest of the way. Of course, as I'm playing this, I'm counting the damage out and figuring out if I'm ahead or behind average, and then making decisions accordingly. But for the most part, most of these are non-thinkers. Yeah, I am really not considering that my defense is as bad as it is. Swung multiple times in physical attack damage range, but again, kind of counterbalancing that with the fact that I only have one heal more left. But I think at this point I know that I can two-shot pretty much guaranteed. So we'll go ahead and take the heal there at 52, make sure we don't get sniped. So all those force doubles, we needed almost all of them, although they were only risky in the context of a 48 or a greater than 48 physical, so the odds are quite low, less than 5%. Alrighty, so there it is, GG, 1:10:55 is the time, and that completes Week 1, Willkommen in der Winterliga. Welcome to the Winter League. So you've got my thoughts on it. I think overall, played it fairly decently. Certainly some things could be better. Certainly some things could have been worse. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what the Winter League Week 1 flag set looks like. Things to think about as you're playing, some of the ways that the flags interact, or some considerations in, strategic decision-making around them. Again, with the asterisk that while I am an experienced DWR player, certainly I don't play non-standard nearly as often as I play standard, and even if it were something I played all the time, your results may vary in applying what I think, and what I think may not be the right way, it may not be the way, it may not be your way, and is largely based on my risk tolerances and my thoughts on the game. So feel free to inject your own thoughts, ideas, interactions, strategies, and otherwise as you play, as you prepare for the Winter League. I just wanted to give a little bit of an idea as to what this flag set looks like, how I think about it as an experienced runner, and hopefully incentivize you to join yourself if you haven't already, and consider taking on the Winter League. Alright everybody, we'll let the credits run out here, we'll take a look at the stats, and I will leave you, hopefully, until Week 2.